Okay, so getting started in our comfortable seated position. Just fair warning, I've been really tired today, not able to wake up. So if I start to yawn throughout, I hope that's not contagious. We can still get a little bit of energy in the body. But starting to enter our space. And so whatever it means for you to start to arrive, maybe it means starting to close the eyes or just settling on a point in front of you. And then just starting to bring your attention to the way that you're sitting. Hi, Anna, welcome. We're just getting started sitting down. And so when you make your way to your comfortable seat and allowing the eyes to close or settle on a point, and then just starting to check in with the natural breath, noticing how the breath is supporting you right now, any mood or emotions that are coming up. Maybe noticing if the way that you're breathing has any relationship to the way that you're feeling. And then we'll start to bring a little bit more awareness to the breath. So breathing in a little bit deeper on the next inhale through the nose. And breathing out a little bit fuller the next exhale through the nose or the mouth. And we'll stay with this for a few breaths, gradually deepening the breath at your own pace. And you're welcome to stay just like this, maybe hands resting on the legs or hands in the lap, or maybe bringing one hand to the belly and one hand to the chest, and really feeling the movements that are happening as you breathe. So on the next breath in, you can press the stomach into the hand. And on the exhale, almost like you're pulling the belly button towards the spine, pulling the stomach muscles back and staying with that, breathing in, pushing the belly out. And exhaling, pulling the stomach back. And staying with this breath. And as we start to transition into tonight's practice, it's going to be a reflection of maybe struggles and growth in the past 7 months. Again, we've had a lot of areas to adjust and adapt lately. So settling into what our new version of normal, our new routine is for right now. And then inviting in a little bit of a mantra with the breath around this. And so on the next breath in, as you push the stomach muscles out, you're welcome to repeat to yourself, I inhale to nurture. And on the exhale, as you pull the stomach muscles back, saying, I exhale to cleanse. And any other words that pop up for you, you can feel free to stick with those. But just repeating this to yourself, inhaling to nurture, exhaling to cleanse. And so maybe we're noticing or discovering new talents or areas of growth during this time. So on the breath in, inhaling to nurture any little sparks of creativity or adjustments, or really just any way we've adapted and learned how to survive in this moment. And on the exhale, cleansing, maybe releasing any kind of resistance or negative thoughts or anything that you're holding on to around our current situation, your own situation. A few more deep breaths like this. And taking 3 last full breaths, just as you were. Maybe sighing out the mouth for the last 2. Inhaling to nurture, filling the body up with oxygen, with fresh air to nurture the brain, nurture the body. Exhaling to cleanse. Releasing the stale air to invite in fresh air, releasing anything that's not serving us to invite in something that is. Last breath. And then you can release the arms down. We'll inhale, circling the arms all the way up. Palms can touch at the top. Slow exhale, guiding the hands down to the center of the chest. Again, a couple more at your own pace. You can take the movements nice and slow. And we can keep coming back to that breath, or you can come back to it any time that you need to. Again, sometimes it can sound kind of strange to be saying these things to ourselves, but the words that we tell ourselves, the way that we communicate to ourselves, affects the way that we think, the way that we cope and move throughout the world. One more inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhaling, hands to the center of the chest. And so as we go into our next movement, we'll invite in a waterfall breath with an SH sound on the exhale, sounding like this. Again, just playing with the imagination a little bit more and sticking with our theme for class of new growth. I don't know if you can see Penelope kind of rolling around over here. She's been liking all this time at home. But what we can do is on the inhale, we can think about planting our seeds, sweeping our arms all the way up, all the seeds that we planted for new growth in the last 7 months. On the exhale, going into a twist with the waterfall breath. Exhaling, twisting towards the left. Inhaling for center. And then exhaling, waterfall breath to the right. And again, keeping it moving at your own pace. Inhale for center. Exhale. And you can think about watering your seeds as you bring the arms down. We'll take last one, and then we'll hold the stretch a little bit longer. If for whatever reason holding the stretch isn't feeling right for you, you can feel free to keep moving like this. Otherwise, next exhale, opening up towards the left, we'll hold. So you can start to bring the left fingertips towards the ground, towards the low back, pressing the fingertips into the floor. And then keeping it really gentle right here. You don't need to go super far. Or if the twist is working for you and you want to take it further, you can press onto the outside of the left leg with the right hand, and then maybe turning to look over the back shoulder. And we'll take 2 more breaths here, seeing if you can still take some deep belly breaths, even if it feels a little bit more constricted in this shape. One more exhale. Inhale, coming back up to center, and then waterfall breath opening up towards the right. Again, holding, exploring the twist on this side. Right hand goes close to the low back, pressing the fingertips into the ground. Left hand on the outside of the right leg, holding here, making it more restful, or bringing a little bit more of a twist, pressing on the outside of the leg with the hand, looking towards the back shoulder. 2 more breaths. One more exhale. Inhale, arms come all the way back up to center. You can look between the palms as they touch. And then exhale, just hinging forward at the hips, going into a forward fold. And so wherever the hands fall on the floor is perfect. You can let the head get heavy. And if you need to adjust the legs at all, do what you need to do. Maybe you have a little sway side to side here, or being still. You can crawl the hands forward if you want a little bit more for the shoulders and upper back. And a couple more breaths. And taking it into a little stretch for the side. On the next inhale, you can start to walk both hands over towards the left. Right hand can be on top, fingers interlaced, reaching the fingertips towards the left, maybe dropping the right sit bone down, noticing how it feels on the whole left side of the body. Again, forehead can get heavy towards the floor, towards the left knee. Last full breath here. Your next inhale, you can pass the hands through center and then keep walking them towards the right. This time left hand can be on top, fingers interlaced. Again, reaching with the fingertips and then maybe pressing the left sit bones more into the ground, maybe pressing the left knee towards the ground. Checking in with the side of the body. Last couple breaths. One more exhale. Inhale, passing through center one more time. This time, if you want to prop yourself onto the fingertips and maybe lift the palms off the floor, kind of stretching up the wrists, you can reach, reach, reach. And then we'll inhale, starting to walk the hands back towards the body. From here, you can bring both legs out in front of you. We're going to do some stretches for the hips and going into more twists here. So if you're noticing it's uncomfortable on the floor, I got my trusty pillow pet that I'm sitting on. So if you need a little bit more height, you can go for that. But first, when you have your legs out in front of you, you can just give them a little tap, a little wiggle, maybe going side to side. Releasing anything from the body, the backs of the knees if they were feeling kind of funky. And then we can bring the left ankle on top of the right knee. And so starting to find a placement that feels okay. If this feels like too much, you can bring it to the inside of the foot, but see if you can keep it on top of the knee. Left foot is flexed, right foot is flexed. Bringing one hand to the ankle, one hand to the knee. We'll inhale, lift through the chest as if you're trying to send the center of the chest towards the ceiling. Slowly on the exhale, hinging forward and leaning forward, checking in with the hip, checking in with the knees. Maybe staying right here, noticing the stretch for the back side of the leg that's lengthened out, the hip of the knee that's lifted. And then if it feels okay, you can drop the hands to the floor, maybe even going for the edges of the feet, or maybe holding onto somewhere on the leg, and we'll hold here for about 3 breaths. And the head can get heavy looking down, maybe chin towards the chest. Taking a full breath in, inhaling to nurture. Long breath out, exhaling to cleanse. Last 2. Checking in with where you're feeling the stretch for the last breath. And on the inhale, hands can come all the way back up. We'll keep the left leg lifted, just drop the left foot down to the outside of the right leg and going into another twist. So using the right hand on the outside of the knee, left hand finds the ground close to the low back, exhaling to turn towards the left. And you can keep the right foot flexed. Maybe you go a little bit further this time, maybe not, feel it out. You can start to bring the shoulder blades together behind you. And then pulling the belly button towards the spine, take a last breath. Exhale. Inhale, coming back to center. Now just bringing the left foot to the inside of the right thigh, and then you can kind of angle yourself more towards a diagonal. We're going to take it into dragonfly. And so right arm can be on top of the right leg, or maybe going to the inner thigh, depending on how the body's feeling. We'll inhale, reach the left fingertips toward the right toes. The right toes are still flexed, or if it feels better, you can have them a little bit more relaxed. And then checking in with the whole left side. Again, there will be options here. We'll stay with this stretch for a little bit longer so that you can feel it a little bit more. Maybe noticing that the bottom arm can get a little bit closer to the floor the longer you hold. It doesn't need to touch. And then a couple options. If this is feeling funky for the neck, you can bend the bottom elbow and maybe using the right fist to support the head, or maybe even bending the top elbow, catching your head in your hand, and then reaching the elbow towards the toes. So you're still getting a stretch for the whole side body. And take a full breath in, breathing into the side body. Big breath out. Last 2. Last 1. On the inhale, we'll bring the left arm all the way up and behind, again, close to the low back. I don't have a lot of space here, but we're going to go into Rockstar, so I'll be able to talk through what it's going to look like better than show it. But this time you can start to point the right toes away from you, pressing the back hand into the ground. We'll inhale to lift up through the hips, lift up through the chest, and then reaching towards the space behind you with the top arm. And take a full breath in. Big breath out. Last one, full breath in, really reach, reach, reach. Exhaling, lowering it all the way back down. Angling yourself towards the center. You can straighten both legs out in front of you again. If you lost the pillow or whatever you're sitting on, you can bring it back underneath. And going right back to tapping out the legs or giving them a little wiggle, releasing all of that we just did. And then setting up for the second side. So now right ankle on top of the left knee. Still trying to get my left and rights down. And starting to flex both feet. Again, checking in for the placement of the ankle. You don't want it right on top of the knee, but you want it close enough to the top of the knee where it can rest there without kind of digging into the muscles in the thigh. One hand on the ankle, one hand on the knee. Inhale, pull the shoulders back, chest lifts up, head can drop back. Slow exhale, leaning forward. Yeah, now that you know what we're doing, you can just kind of go for it. Maybe you're staying right here. This is plenty. Or dropping the hands down, framing the leg, maybe grabbing onto the leg somewhere or grabbing to the edges of the foot. Crown of the head can drop down. Maybe even close the eyes and just kind of settle into the darkness that you've created here and really feel into the stretch for another breath in. Big breath out. And maybe repeating, I inhale to nurture. I exhale to cleanse. And it's okay if that phrase means something different to you every time, or if it's not resonating and you find a new one. But seeing if you can practice some kind of mantra right here or throughout practice with the breath to enhance and motivate your growth and encourage the ability for you to release anything that's no longer working for you. Last breath here. Inhale, coming all the way back up. Dropping the right foot down, going for our twist. So now you can grab the outside of the knee, bringing the hand behind you, exhaling to turn, again, finding your version of a twist for this side. Pulling the shoulder blades together, sending the chest forward through the shoulders. Another breath in, another breath out. Last breath. Inhale, turning back to center. And now bringing the foot to the inside of the leg. Then you can adjust, shift yourself more towards the center of where the legs are now. Starting to bring the left arm on top of the left thigh or towards the inner thigh. I'm not the best angle to see. And then we'll inhale, reach the right fingers all the way towards the left toes. And always think about sending the chest forward. We want to be proud in the chest and give ourselves enough room to get in fresh oxygen. And so maybe that means coming up a little bit higher. You don't need to force yourself into a shape that's not working for you. Take another few breaths. And any of those options. So maybe bending the bottom elbow, using the hand or the fist for a headrest. And if you want even more of a headrest, bending the top elbow, catching your head in your hands, and then reaching towards the left toes with the elbow to lengthen out through the side body and feel that stretch for the next couple of breaths. Last breath here. Exhale. Inhale, bring the top arm all the way up and behind. Again, setting up for our rock star. So starting to point the left toes away. Pressing the back hand into the floor. Inhale, lift up through the hips. Arm reaches up and behind, has the wall behind you. 2 breaths here, lifting up through the hips and the chest. Pressing into the floor with the left foot. Last breath here. Exhale to slowly bring it all the way back down. Then you can turn back towards center, lengthen the legs out in front of you, do a few wiggles again, shake it out. And then from here, we'll just go right into our tabletop. and moving into downward dog. So you can move anything that you might have brought into your space. From tabletop, spreading the fingers nice and wide, tucking the toes. You can take a full inhale. On the exhale, setting the hip creases up and back, dropping some weight into the heels. Noticing how it feels for the first downward dog. And then any movements, if you want to bend into one knee at a time, shake the head out, make any noises. A couple breaths, couple movements. And then starting to find some stillness here, really pushing the ground away, dropping some weight into the heels, another breath in. Big breath out. Next breath in, left leg lifts long behind. You can bend the knee, opening up the hip to the side of the room, still trying to drop some weight into the right heel. Another breath in, opening up the hip. On the exhale, bring the knee all the way towards the nose, rounding the spine, pushing the ground away. One more inhale. Exhale, step the foot through between the hands. Pause here for a breath, just enough to feel a little stretch in the hip. You can send the back heel away. And then exhale, back foot steps forward, forward fold. One little sway, couple breaths to connect back to the pace of the breath right now. And slowly coming back to center. Inhaling, hands to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Next, inhale, arms sweep all the way up, palms touch at the top. You can send the hips and the thighs forward, little back bend, chest towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the center of the chest. Pausing and connecting here for another breath. Noticing how the body's feeling now. There's been a little bit of movement. Inhaling, you can send the fingertips up towards the ceiling, right back to the little back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, hands to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Placing the hands on the ground. I'm stepping right back into downward dog. And couple breaths, couple movements, or maybe stillness. Next breath in, right leg lifts long behind. Bending the knee, opening up the hip. Think about pressing into the floor, dropping the left heel down. Open the hip as much as what feels comfortable. One more inhale. Exhale, rotating the knee all the way towards the nose, rounding the back. One more inhale to press the ground away. Exhale, step the foot through. Again, just staying long enough to feel a little stretch for the hip. You can send the back heel away from you. One more inhale. Exhale, back foot steps forward, forward fold. Okay, if none of those movements happen gracefully, do what's working for you. Take your time, take another breath in. Big sigh out the mouth. Next breath in, hands to shins, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Next breath in, starting to bend the knees, weight into the heels. Arms will sweep up to find a chair pose. Feeling the heels pressing into the floor, fingertips reaching forward. One more inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting up. This time on the exhale, bending back into the knees, arms will sweep behind. Again, inhaling to stand all the way up, lift up, maybe going back to that back bend. Exhale, bending the knees, weight into the heels, arms sweep behind. Again, nice and slow, keep it moving with your own breath. Maybe even thinking of the exhale when our weight is in the heels, maybe feeling a little bit of muscle engagement in the thighs. This can symbolize our struggles, our hard work of the last 7 months. A lot of different moods for me at least. And then on the inhale, when we lift up, rise up, our area for growth, reaching up towards the sky, maybe limitless potential with what we've gained, what we've learned. Exhale back. Last couple. Inhale to reach. Exhale. And always knowing that we can find the balance of ease and effort. Knowing that just by living with some awareness, we will not allow ourselves to get stuck in one place for too long. Last inhale, lift up, reach up. Next exhale, forward fold. This time you can have a little bend in the knees, maybe grabbing opposite elbows or interlacing the fingers on the base of the skull. Swaying side to side, a few deep breaths. One more exhale. Inhale, hands come to the shins, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Next, inhale, arm circle all the way up, palms touching at the top. Exhaling, hands at the center of the chest. And so we're talking about balance, and there being a balance of light and dark, challenging times and triumphs. And so we'll go into some balancing poses. So if you need to be close to something to keep yourself steady or feel safer, do what you need to do. Starting with shifting our weight over to the left leg. We'll inhale, send the fingertips all the way towards the ceiling, right knee lifts up. As you exhale, bring the hands all the way back down. See if you can find a point in front of you to focus your attention. If you're wobbling a lot, you can touch the toes down, find where you need to be. Next, inhale, we'll open the right knee out towards the right. I'll turn this way now. Right knee opens out towards the right. Inhale back to center. We'll do a couple more like that. Inhale to open up. Exhale to center. Last one, inhale to open. We're gonna take it right into tree. If you need to tap the toes down, do what you need to do. You could also be here for tree, balancing on the toes. Or if you can, starting to bring the foot up a little bit higher. It really doesn't matter how high. And then coming back to focusing on our breath. Full breath in. Long breath out. And inhaling to nurture, maybe even reaching the arms up, growing our branches in our tree. Exhaling to cleanse. And this is just an example of what you can do with the arms. You can do anything that you would like to do. Get creative here for a couple more breaths. And if you're wobbling or falling out, it's all good. Last two. One more inhale. Exhale, release it all to the floor. Shake it out, let that go. And before we go to our other side, coming back to our mountain pose, finding our center where we can feel nice and strong and grounded and unmovable. And so balancing the weight evenly on both feet. Palms can be face open. Take another breath. Starting to shift the weight over to the other side. Realize now that I'm facing you, I have to mirror, so I might get confused with left and rights again. It's a fun little game we can play. Next, inhale, arms reach up. Left knee lifts up. Exhale, hands come together to the center of the chest. And find your balance. Do what you need to do here if you need to keep the toes down. Or if you're ready, next inhale, knee opens up towards the side. Exhale, back to center. If it feels really hard to stay balanced, you can also try hands on the hips. Oop, and I said that and lose balance. You can figure out what works. Last couple. And last one. Again, seeing if you can hold here, touching down if you need to, setting up for tree, maybe staying at the ankle, toes down, or bringing the foot up a little bit higher. And then we're at whenever you find where you need to be, pausing there, finding your point of focus. If it feels super easy and you need a little bonus challenge, you can try to close your eyes, see what happens. Take another two. And maybe growing the branches up, allowing them to blow in the breeze. Last breath in. Big breath out, everything back to center, anything you need to do to release. And then just coming back to our mountain pose. And we're just gonna slow it down with a little sway. So you can just start to shift your weight side to side. And you can start really subtle, maybe just shifting in the feet. And then as you get more comfortable, or if you feel like it, you can start to add the hips with it. You can adjust the stance if you want the feet a little bit wider. And you can think of kind of swaying to your favorite song. Maybe the shoulders come into it. You can do little shoulder rolls with your sway. And so for me, part of nurturing myself, especially in hard times, is still remembering to have moments of joy and play. And this is kind of one of those movements for me. And so you can do anything that you feel inspired to do with this. It doesn't have to look just like mine. You can also reverse the direction of the shoulders. Maybe they start swimming forward, a little flick of the wrist. Releasing anything that might be left in the shoulders, the upper back, maybe even the side body. You kind of want to do like a little figure 8 movement with the arms. Maybe even going into some trunk twists, allowing the arms to sway side to side. I think I just like ruffled my whole curtain. Sorry if you picked up that sound. And then slowly starting to come back to center. If you adjusted your stance, you can bring the feet back in. And then see if even with all of that movement and shifting the weight, if you can come back to your strong mountain pose in the center, take your time. Feeling the connection of the feet on the ground, imagining the feet like your roots, kind of planting themselves into the floor, your sense of grounding, your center, your stability. Full breath in. Big breath out. We'll do another one like that. Full breath in. You can allow the crown of the head to grow tall towards the ceiling. Big breath out. Next breath in, we'll circle the arms all the way back up, palms touch. Exhale, you can deep bend in the knees, forward fold. We'll inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, placing the hands on the ground. You can step right back to downward dog. Maybe taking a breath there. And then exhale, knees drop down. You can send the hips towards the heels, child's pose. And knees as wide as you'd like. Belly can rest in the insides of the legs, crawling the hands forward. Or knees close together, arms by your side, forehead down. Take 3 more breaths here. Last 2. Last 1. Next inhale, pulling yourself forward to tabletop. And then just shifting the weight to one side so that you're flat on the floor. You can straighten out the legs in front of you. And then just slowly rolling all the way down. You can give one more full stretch, reaching the arms behind, rotating the wrists and the ankles. And then exhaling, arms by your side, setting up for Shavasana, the final resting pose. And so again, having any pillows and blankets you might want around you, underneath the head or underneath the knees. You can start to drop into the natural breath, or maybe taking a few full deep belly breaths before settling in. And so you can join me if you'd like. Going back to placing the hands on the belly or the chest. Full breath in, pressing the belly into the hand or the chest into the hand. Big breath out through the mouth. 2 more like that. Last one. And allowing your natural autopilot breath to take over. And as you continue to rest, breathe, and be as you are right here, right now, I'm going to read the reading of the week. Hoi Hai, a Zen painter, was ordered by the Chinese emperor to paint some flowers for his palace. Huihai said, "Then I will have to live with the flowers." But the emperor said, "There is no need. In my garden, every flower is there. You go and paint." Huihai said, "Unless I feel the flowers, how can I paint? I must know the spirit. And by eyes, how can the spirit be known? And by hands, how can the spirit be touched? So I will have to live in intimacy with them. Sometimes with closed eyes, just sitting by their side, just feeling the breeze that communicates, just feeling the scent that comes. I can be just in a silent communion with them. Sometimes the flower is just a bud. Sometimes the flower flowers. Sometimes the flower is young and the mood is different. And sometimes the flower becomes old and death lingers nearby. And sometimes the flower is happy and celebrating. And sometimes the flower is sad. So how can I go and paint? I will have to live with the flowers, and each flower that is born one day will die. I must know the whole biography. I must live with a flower from its birth to death, and I must feel it in its many moods. I must know how it feels in the night when darkness is there, and how it feels in the morning when the sun has come up, and how when a bird flies and a bird sings, how the flower feels then, how when the storm winds down and when everything is silent. I must know it in its multiplicity of being, intimately, as a friend, as a participant, as a witness, as a lover. I must be related to it. Only then can I paint it. And then too, I cannot promise, because the flower may prove such a vastness that I may not be capable of painting it. So I cannot promise. I can only try. And so as you take a couple more breaths right here, maybe coming back to that idea of inhaling to nurture and exhaling to cleanse. And for the next few breaths, really focusing on what you can nurture, what you can focus on and grow for yourself, breathing in fully, deeply. Big exhale. Whatever you can release, let go of. Maybe anything you have resistance or negative thoughts and feelings towards that you cannot change. Again, full breath in. Big breath out. And reminding yourself that we're all doing the best we can to survive. Focusing your attention on nurturing your growth. Focusing on what's for you. And so thank you for showing up to practice, honoring the light and the dark sides of us all. Namaste.